Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Recruiter podcast. Today I'm joined by April Jenkins. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Thomas. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Well, I feel like we've had this one in the making for a while, haven't we? But we got there in the end, and I know you're busy, so I'm feeling privileged to have finally managed to pin you down and get you in the virtual studio.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just going to do you a bit of an intro. Started commercial life off at Cisco. You were there almost 10 years and did pretty well there, holding business analysts and a couple of different management roles as well. Then you spent some time at Gartner and held various different positions there. Also spent some time at GDS Group and Zscaler. And you are currently at EliteOps, and you've done particularly well there, been promoted a couple of times and started off as principal, then went to director, and you are now Senior Director of Managed Services and Service Desk at EliteOps. So yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't hold any management roles at Cisco. So just to be clear there, because my career has been quite long, I started my LinkedIn with Cisco, but my very first job was actually with AT Kearney. I had a summer internship with them in consulting capacity. After my internship, they offered me a full-time position. So my first job out of college was with AT Kearney in consulting. And so that was many moons ago.
Cool. Yeah. That's a thing to start your career off in the consulting game. Like, I think especially these days, I think it's clearly bode well for you because of the success you've had. But I think it bodes well because it's like you're getting that experience at the forefront dealing with customers. And I think to get that at an early stage, it's pretty valuable.
Yeah, AT Kearney was very good at training, had a very structured program, very supportive organization all the way through leadership. It was definitely the best way to start my career. I have so many fond memories and nothing but admiration for the team. I really couldn't have asked for a better way to start my career than with them.
Yeah, cool, good. No, I'm looking forward to diving into things today, April. I know just before we hit record for the listeners, I know your team's grown significantly from 9 folks to 42. And I know you were saying there's been a lot going on and kind of new clients going on. So it'd be nice to hear what's going on from your side. And it'd be nice to touch upon some market conditions and maybe relate that back to people that are on the market. So it'd be nice to dive into some stuff and unpack your journey a bit more in general as well. But I'll start where I always start, which is, I know I've done you a bit of an intro, but who are you? What do you get up to? And what's a day in the life of April like at the minute?
Okay, so the day in the life of me, definitely, the day is perpetual. I have a team that operates 24/7. So they're really our end of time to the day. It was one more sentence if you want to give that as an example. But in terms of the team and what's going on, again, I have folks that are operating on 24/7 basis. Some of them are in active support. Others are working in an engineering function supporting customers in the SASE space. So the day consists of anything from adding those detailed conversations with the customer around what they want to do next, what are projects, how are we progressing their overall zero trust journey, and then the normal things of just being a manager and having a team of people. And going through that process and making sure that what I'm balancing is the work product that needs to get done, but also the growth and development of people. That's really very important to me, especially in a business where you are constantly interacting with customers and the service is your business. You're making sure that your people are happy, making sure that they have balance, making sure that they have the opportunity to grow in the areas they need to, both technically and also professionally, that they feel that they have a plan and a journey map and a roadmap to where they want to go. And they see where they fit in, not only in the short term within the organization, but the longer term vision and strategy approach of the company.
Yeah, do you know what? I think like knowing where you're going and having like a clear path mapped out or articulated by your leader or your boss or your director, as it were, I think that's massive for the individuals, but also like massive for keeping your customers happy as well. If they're in a good headspace, then they're going to perform better. And like, I can't remember the exact saying now, but it's something, if you're positive, you'll overperform. If you're negative, you'll underperform, something like that. But I think if you're in the right frame of mind, like, things tend to go pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that our team is really good at is having the right mindset and the right attitude. They're a very collaborative bunch. They support one another. And I try to keep an environment where people feel that they can always ask questions. They can always speak up. And the main thing is that people always feel like they have a voice and that they can say what's happening with them, what they're observing, whether it's something that is positive. I want people to always emphasize positive things. But if there are things that need to be corrected, things that need to be adjusted, or they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I always want people to feel like they can say what they need to say. What we do all day is solve problems. And there's always a solution. I never want anybody to think that there isn't a solution to a problem. There's always a solution. Whether that solution is going to be difficult in the short term, but benefit everybody in the long term, I never want anybody to be afraid of difficult conversations, because those are the little foxes that can bring down morale, that can get a team off their game. And given what we do, especially in cybersecurity, people have to be on the game all the time. And so we really just can't afford to have anybody feeling off in any kind of a way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially when incidents are occurring and things are happening. Yeah, people need to be on point. So, April, you were saying your team's gone from 9 to 42. Is that a combination of you taking care and responsibility of additional people and new hires, or is that all new hires?
It's a combination of new hires and a combination of team consolidation.
Okay.
One of the great things I say about the leadership where I work at EliteOps is that we recognize what we need to do to be an effective team and how we group things together to make sure that we're all the good resources for a particular set of tasks are together so that we can work better together. So there was them bringing together teams, my team and another team, to create that managed service and support organization. It made a lot of sense. And when we were talking about, I think you were mentioning what's it like in the market and what is happening, we notice, of course, that a lot of people are looking for roles. They're looking for a job and a career. And one of the things that I hear a lot when I'm interviewing people is people looking for an opportunity to actually learn, to have the space to learn and to take advantage of the skills that they already have, right? It's a balance. And it's a tough time for companies as they're trying to figure out like how to navigate the market. What resources do they really need? Do resources need to be centrally located? Do you need to be in the office? Do you need to be remote? So employers are having to ask all these questions. And how do you have a distributed team, making it really effective? And then you've got the actual people who are trying to get roles, figuring out, okay, what is the right environment for me? And I think the most important thing is to keep it simple for everybody, right?
Yeah.
People want to come to work and feel that they are able to accomplish things. They want a sense of achievement. They want a sense of camaraderie. They want to feel like they're moving forward, not that they're standing still. And they want to ultimately feel like they're contributing to something that is getting better. And so that's one of the things that I try to make sure that I'm always checking in with the team about that. Are we hitting all the marks? Is there something that we need to be doing differently? I'm a big believer in pivoting when you need to. And that's not like constant change, right? I am also a firm believer in consistency, right? Think about it if you're baking cookies, right? I'm baking a chocolate chip cookie and I want to be really good at chocolate chip cookies. So I want to make sure that I am making that cookie as consistent as possible and just baking it every day and refining it and getting good at that one cookie, right? If I'm a chocolate chip cookie maker, I'm a chocolate chip cookie maker. I'm not a cake maker, right? I make chocolate chip cookies. So let's keep doing that and doing that. Do I need to change the ingredients? Do I need to change the bake time? Those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about when I'm saying the pivot. But we need to be consistent in what we deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that also helps when you're trying to build a team because you can see very clearly what other skills you need to add. Who is going to add to the team and what you need to accomplish, and then how is that person going to be fulfilled and being able to take their strengths and bringing it into your organization.
Yeah, definitely. I think partly for the team, but also as well, like when it comes to the market and going to market, if you're really consistent about who you are, what you do, what you stand for, what you're good at. Like that helps from a growth perspective and onboarding new logos. And I think it helps internally and externally.
Yeah. People like to know this is who we are.
Yeah, they do.
This is who we are every day.
Yeah.
And then we just make sure we keep doing that.
Yeah, they do. Also, as well, it's like going back to the folks on the market, like you're winning new clients. Yes, some of that team growth has been like people moving over to your team, but some of that's been new hiring as well. So you're winning new business, you're hiring, your team's growing. And I'm hearing this a lot where, especially mid to smaller size companies, they're doing pretty well and the hiring demand is there. I think there's just a lot of folks on the market. So the hiring demand's still there. Companies are still doing well, still happening. But if you're on the market, you've got to be good because the competition's probably never been more, maybe it won't be like this. It runs in cycles, so it won't be like this forever. But for the time being, like if you're on the market, like I feel like you've got to be on point.
It's true. People don't think that it makes a difference, like the little things. But responsiveness to emails, right? Responsiveness to requests for an interview. Making sure that whatever you are matching to the job description is accurate. It can be frustrating because, again, there are so many people in the market. So if we put out a LinkedIn post and we say, these are the skills we're looking for, or this is the region where this is based, or this is the time zone in which things need to happen, or these are the bare minimum skills. When we go through some of those things, we do notice that people are just applying down. And I am not opposed to people who are changing roles, right? Maybe people who were just networking and now they've taken some security certifications and they want to move over. Those things make sense, right? If you're a doctoral candidate in agriculture, and you've never taken any certs, you've never done anything. While I appreciate the interest, right, and thinking that there are some soft skills you can add, absolutely. If this particular job description is asking for a certain minimum skill, it's best to just go ahead and do that. Because if you are, say, again, never want to count yourself out, right? If there's a list of 6 requirements and you meet 2, maybe that rule wouldn't work, but maybe you send in your resume and because you have 2 of the 6, they'll keep you in the, hey, this role isn't the right one, but they have these skills and this other role might be available later and those skills will work. So you'll be in the loop, right? And you keep certain people that we say not right for this, but like these things about them because they answer the call close enough, right? Yeah. And so I think that's important for people. If you're close, take a chance, but then also don't be afraid to actually write a note with your resume, right? That's where I think a lot of people get away from cover letters per se. But you don't necessarily have to write a cover letter, but you can write a few paragraphs or bullet points and say, hey, I saw this. These are the only 2 ways that I lie. Here are some projects where I'm almost there, but not quite. I'd really love even just a conversation because I'll have a conversation with people. Even if it's not the full interview, I'll still have a conversation because, again, when your business is growing and it's dynamic, it's important to have a pipeline of people, right? Yeah. And conversations and relationships and goodwill, right? I always want to make sure that we are treating people respectfully in the interview process and respecting their time. And that's also important to us in the recruiting process. We don't do a long, drawn-out process. Yeah. And we make sure from the very beginning, we tell people, this is what it is. This is how it's going to go. That communication is going to happen. If there's any variation, we'll keep tight with you. But we try to keep everything, again, very consistent and transparent because we know that it's hard in your market. We don't want people lingering, wondering, is it a yes? Is it a no? Did I make it?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sometimes I say people are there or thereabouts is cool, but yeah, I've had it before, a librarian applying for a network security engineer role and stuff like that. And I don't think you read the advert before you clicked apply, but thanks anyway.
And that doesn't mean if you're open for an internship and you want to transition, that we won't consider you. But we do offer internships. And so I'm open to people with different backgrounds as far as coming into the internship because maybe they just want to have an experience for 3 months. And we'll give you a project and we'll see how it goes and see how you feel about it. So I think, like I said, sometimes it's best to you think outside the box a little bit if you're going to apply and be willing to have conversations with people.
Cool. Thanks, April. Just flipping over to people. So say for people that are listening that really want to get on in their career, get moving forward, maybe they're not quite at director level now, but they might be in a fairly senior position, but they really want to move forward. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew 4 or 5 years ago? Is there any way that you've landed positions at like pretty well-known logos throughout your career? Is there anything there that's enabled you to do could help folks listening?
I'm going to say that early on in my career, my mentor told me to focus on my strengths. It was a book, I'm trying to remember, it was something about maximizing your strengths, right? Focus on the things that you're good at, and then be really excited about the things that you're good at. Because you can waste a lot of energy pursuing what you think the market wants, right? And you'll end up hopping a lot of places. I might have gone to different jobs, but the core of what people needed me for and wanted me for stayed the same. And so I think when you accept that about yourself, then the roles are going to come, right? The energy is going to come. Maybe it won't come in the time frame in which you think it should happen, but it's going to come, right? And I think that's really the thing that just struck me the best is that I've always been myself. I identified, again, really early on what my strengths were, and then I stuck to that. And I always approach my work that this is my book of business to handle, whatever that task is. That's my business. I run my business my way. I always have to adhere to whatever the corporation or whatever the company's guidelines are. I always have to operate within what they need and what they require. But as an individual, how I approach my work, how I manage my business is always going to be the same.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I would say that's the most important thing. And then also just the relationship pieces, especially if people are introverts. And I'm definitely, and some people wouldn't believe us, but I am an introvert by nature. So the way that I cultivate relationships is not necessarily going to be the same. And I think that it's okay to not cultivate relationships the same way everybody else does. Some people love to do certain activities like, hey, I want to try to find somebody who likes to golf, or I want to try to connect with somebody on a truly personal level that way. I tend to develop relationships through the work, through solving problems, through helping people, through being a good ear, trying to be objective for people. I think that has just been the way I'm the most comfortable developing relationships. And there are some people who would say, I would have gone further faster had I done some of the other things. But I wouldn't be true to myself.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have felt comfortable because that would have been out of character for me. Another thing too, don't feel like there's only one way to do it. There's more than one way to do it. But there does come a point where you have to just understand the dynamics that are at play and how you cultivate relationships with different people, what to say, when to speak, when to be silent, again, when to observe. Learning how to read the room is really important. And that room can be, again, when you are sitting in one meeting, or it can be when you're sitting in an industry at a given point in time. So it's really important to learn how to read the room, because that's how you're ultimately going to be able to navigate.
Yeah, cool. April, you said so much stuff there that's really good, by the way. The time frame one's massive, by the way, because I don't think anyone realizes how long it takes to get really good at something. And the fact that, like, you mentioned time, and then at the same time, you also mentioned about your core staying the same. So if you're doing the same core thing for 5, 10, 15 years, like the compound effect, like, A, you're going to get pretty good at it if you're doing it for that amount of time, and you're going to get known for being good at it. But like the compound effect of that, if you apply some consistency and moving in the right direction, and like that's going to make a big difference. And yeah, like I really like that playing to your strengths thing as well, because I've tried to do some stuff that I'm not good at, and like I can do it and I can pretend that I want to get better at it, but it's not sustainable anyway. Like you just get fed up of it, and then you're probably not doubling down on your strength anyway. So yeah, there's some good stuff there. I like.
Thank you. Well, we're working with, again, you can try to find your niche in an area. So I'll use cybersecurity as an example. I went to work at Zscaler. I had not done just cybersecurity. I hadn't done it before. But what I do understand is data. I understand systems. I understand platforms. And I understand how to look at the interconnectivity between all those things. And I know how to tell a story. And I know how to get to the root cause of problems. So again, it's my core. So that's the way I went into learning about Zscaler as a platform, learning about zero trust. My core stayed the same, and that's the approach I went into it with. And so once I did that, it all made sense to me. The rest of it is, I'm going to say, the mechanics of how do I change policy? How do firewall rules work versus sandboxing rules? What is an MD5? What are these things? Those are the intricate pieces. But again, those are the data elements. So if I understand the data elements and I understand the output that people need to take action, it all made sense. It all came together. So I think it's a different way of thinking about your strengths, right? The topic is the topic. But what is it that you as an individual really excel at? And then how can you apply that to the direction you're heading in? Whether that is cybersecurity, whether that is network, whether that is anything. It can be something that's the collaboration technology, UCAS, all of that, right? Your passion lies, right? Look, we go to work. It doesn't have to be your life's work, your biggest passion, but it has to be something that is sustainable for you, right? That you can enjoy going to work every day and you can feel fulfilled in doing it.
Yeah. I think another massive thing is actually establishing what that core is, because I think some people probably don't take a step back and actually just stop for a moment to actually think about that. And you know how quick time goes. Before you know it, you can be bouncing around doing this. 6 months goes, a year goes, 2 or 3, 4 years go, and you look around, and if you're perhaps not intentional about actually just working out what that core is, that could send you off track, I think.
Yeah. And it's something that I had with the interns that we've had. I've made sure I've had those conversations with them about what do you really need to do and what are you good at? And that's questions. That's why y'all read the internship. I'm trying to do that with them, that they're in the very beginning of their career, and having them say, okay, if you had to do this every day, why are you doing this? Money to take care of yourself is table stakes, right? That's why everybody goes to work. Now let's go up a layer on top of that. How do you want to spend your days? Okay. And then what would be the ideal way you could spend your days? Can you marry those two? And then what, maybe is it maybe industry direction, job title, everything else, then you want to pursue. And then now look at what those steps are. Maybe the end game matches to what your desires are, or your core strengths are, but are you willing to do those other steps to get there? And is that going to be an easy journey for you? Is it going to be somewhat complex and difficult? And are you willing to take those steps? And I think that, everybody is always rushing around because we have to, right? We have to take care of ourselves. But if you want to play the long game, and then that's the thing to think about when the computer's off, when you're not on a Zoom call. I'm a big fan of pen and paper. Get yourself a legal pad. Get yourself a notebook. Get yourself a pen and pencil. And write a few things every day. And take a look and back at it and say, okay, wow, maybe I don't really like this. Or maybe I do really like this, but I need to change my mindset. And a mindset is huge, right? Your mindset is really important because that's what's going to help you realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. There might be times when you're in a sprint, you're trying to play the long game.
Yeah, and it's so true as well. I've said this before, but I like to say it again to remind myself, is that we've definitely all got time. Like, we're all so much more efficient, whether it's like using AI to create a framework to put something together, or using AI to make an email more concise, or using AI to get the framework down for a LinkedIn post, or just the fact that we're all working remotely now most of the time and we're not traveling. Like, we have got so much more time to do the things you've just mentioned. So really, there's no excuse, but I'm just as bad. Like, sometimes I'm like, I haven't got time, but really I have.
I think one of the cool what I started doing, and it's important for everybody, is take a piece of your day and just on the calendar. Somebody at my job actually says, "Why are you yelling at me on your calendar?" But it's all caps, and please do not schedule over this time, right?
Okay.
Give yourself at least 30 minutes in the day. And maybe you need to take that 30 minutes to finish something for work. Or maybe it's 30 minutes so you can take a 10-minute walk, listen to some music, but give yourself some time in the day that you feel is reasonable, whether it's morning, midday, afternoon. And give yourself some time to think. It makes a difference because that helps you reset your mind. You can find 30 minutes, even if you think you can't. And at least if it's on your calendar, you can move it around, right? Maybe you put it at 11 o'clock, but you got to move it down to 2. But give yourself a non-negotiable 30 minutes in a day to think for yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've definitely got to talk. I used to meditate every day, and then I get into a really good spot. Then I get busy, which is when I probably need it more. But then I skip it, and it's like I keep falling off. But it's like I've learned that it's okay to fall off. Just get back on. Like, you're going to keep falling off. As long as you get back on, it's cool.
And sometimes it's setting expectations. Goes back to mindset. If you meditate for a minute, yeah, because you did it, right? I took a minute and meditated. Great. Then maybe you want to try to see, can you do 2 minutes? There's nothing wrong with starting small and building up. And again, even if you only have the minute, you took the time. And that goes back to that sense of accomplishment, right? Did I accomplish what I set out to do today? Start your day and say, these are 2 or 3 things I want to accomplish. Even if you only do it for 1 minute, you did it. Check, done. And that's showing up for yourself, which is important.
Yeah. I read that in a book, by the way, once. It was like talking about meditate, because it's like that whole thing where so many people will be like, oh, yeah, I do it, but my mind wanders, so what's the point? But like you said, if you get a minute, even if you just get a tiny amount of time where you actually manage to do it properly, it was still worth doing.
Okay. And if you want to just like exercise, right? It's going to compound over time. You're not going to start off your first day hitting your PRs with weightlifting or running that 5-minute mile or whatever you're thinking in your mind. But hey, did you actually run the mile? Great. So it took you 14 minutes. Okay, but you did it, right? Mm. And that's good. I think we forget sometimes to reward ourselves and be grateful to ourselves for the things that we are able to accomplish. It's not easy to get up every day and go to work despite what we may think. Mm. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy to stay in the game and apply to a bunch of different jobs and keep your spirits up. These are not easy things. But every day that you do it, be proud of yourself. Yeah. That's going to help build that good, positive mindset that's going to get you to where you want to be.
It's like banking the small. This almost reminds me of starting out in recruitment in a way, because in recruitment, when you first start, no one wants to talk to you. No one knows who you are. You're having to call these people up, and then someone gives you a little chance, or maybe they don't even give you a chance. They were just nice to you, and it's okay, great. I'm going to take that small win, bank it, and give myself a little pat on the back. And recruitment becomes an accumulation of small wins. And then all of a sudden, you've got a load of clients. And it's like what you're saying, you're banking those small wins to move yourself forward and progress.
Yeah, momentum is a real thing.
It is.
And people, if they're feeling discouraged in any way, whether it's you're not hitting the career goals as fast as you think you should, or a job you're searching for, just keep showing up. Keep showing up. It's going to happen. You'd think it's not, and when you least expect it, that's when it's going to show up. That's why it's more important to be true to yourself every day, because you're like, hey, I showed up for myself. I did what I said I was going to do. I was authentic. I operated in integrity. I learned some things. Hopefully I made somebody else's day better, got them to laugh or smile or something. And I'm going to take it, and then I'll come back again tomorrow. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, cool. You mentioned staying true to your core, managing your expectations in terms of the time frame. That's just a massive. I'm not on Instagram or anything like that, but because of Instagram and everything like that, everyone's time frames on how long things should take have just completely. I feel like they're completely warped these days.
Wow, it seems like it's easy, right? It seems like it's easy. It seems like I should be able to show up and tell you how great I am, show you the 3 things that I've done, and boom, everybody's convinced. And even sometimes after 5 years of showing up and doing things, people aren't convinced. And 10 years and 15 years, sometimes people aren't convinced. Or you might find yourself in a cycle where you feel like you're always trying to prove yourself. This is a very real feeling, right? A very valid feeling.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, you just don't see that side. Because on social media stuff, you just always see the end bit.
You don't see like all of the little mishaps when the tag picking out of the clothes when they tried to do their haul or those sorts of things. Yeah, you don't see all of those things. That's all behind the scenes. Yeah. But I think you can write your own story. And you can edit your own story too. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I started here. I did this. That was maybe not the right thing for me. And then I had to change. I think sometimes we get caught up in everything looking perfect or things being a straight line, right? The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That's true in math. In your career, it looks a lot more like squiggly lines and maybe some flat lines and everything in between, right? It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's yours. And if you are happy with the fact that it is your journey that you owned, then you'll be okay.
Yeah, and you're right. It's all part of the journey. Like sometimes you have to do that thing you didn't want to do, and sometimes realizing that it wasn't for you is actually great, because then when you're doing the other thing, you realize that is what you want to do. So your mindset's in the right place, and so on and so forth. Yeah, like you said, it's essentially just all part of the journey. Like no one ever. Like I don't think I've ever done a podcast where someone's come on and gone, yeah, I did that. It was all perfect. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I never did anything wrong. I never had any setbacks, and it was all really easy. Like no one's ever said that's just not real life. Well, you mentioned as well, April, you talked about the relationship piece. And I think as well, in a choppy market and stuff like that, like I know some recruiters that got laid off that did really well and sorted themselves out really quickly. And it was all people they knew. I know from us as an agency and myself, like if the market's tough, you've got your pre-existing relationships that just you look after them and they look after you. I think especially in the tough times, your relationships, if you've looked after them, they really look after you.
It's true. I think you can think about all of your relationships and interactions as deposits. Yeah. And these are deposits in the bank of future, whether that's on a project or whether that's, again, is for your career. And when you're interacting with people, you want to think about what kind of deposit are you making. Are you making a positive deposit, or are you unintentionally making a withdrawal? Sometimes it's because of the circumstances around those interactions, and things might not always be positive. But in the end, even if you have a conflict with someone or disagreement and things like that, how you handle it can ultimately actually put you in the best possible position with that person, because they know, hey, I was in a really tough situation with this person, but the way they handled it, gosh, yeah, we have this project that's coming up, or we have this job, and we need somebody who can successfully navigate conflict. So that person might reach out to you because of that past experience. Sometimes you never know also who's watching you and who's observed you in scenarios, or what your haul file has been at a company. And then out of the blue, people will reach out to you and say, hey, I remember this about you. And you might remember scenarios, but you don't remember everybody you touched.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to hear things back more positive than anything else, that's where you want to be. Your haul file is important. I think that's something that sometimes people forget. It's very easy to get caught up in the work and the tasks. Okay, someone gave me this job, and I'm supposed to do this job, and I'm going to do it this way because that's what I was told. And I'm a big believer in sticking to the things that somebody tells me to get done, but also being honest with people. There are some times when I'll say, this is what I'm being told I need to do. I don't necessarily see it or understand it. Do you see it or understand it? why we're doing it this way. And people say, no, I don't get it either. Okay, I don't really like this. That's what we got to do. So let's do it. People appreciate, and you have to know who you can have these conversations with. Again, it's about reading your room. But a lot of times when you're honest in that way, people appreciate it. Well, that's the person that's always going to, give it to me straight. And also the person who can take it. I think that's another big thing. I'm always somebody who will be straightforward, but I also can take straightforward criticism and constructive feedback. So I don't get my feelings really. If somebody tells me something, I'll look back and say, okay, what did I do? Okay, could I have done that a little bit differently? And sometimes I might say, no, I did that just fine. That's just them, and that's okay too. You have to be flexible in that way, right? To respect and understand that everybody's going to take things differently. People have different personalities. People bring different sets of experiences. And not to take it all too personally, unless somebody, again, decides to get personal. But for the most part, when you're dealing in work, it's just about getting done, get the accomplishing project. And when the day ends, we all go home to our families and live real life.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It's like when you're talking about things and like certain things being done in a certain way, you're being like basically just really authentic and going, look, to be honest with you, I don't quite know why we're doing like this. And it's back to like the little things and just being real. And it does all make a difference when it comes to, I think, just progression, moving forward and building relationships. And it's a bit of an art form. And I think people that think these little things don't matter, it's that they do it, especially when you get to the more senior end. Because the more senior searches I'm working on, I know it's like everyone you speak to is great at these little things and they really get it. And I'm like, that's why they've done so well.
And if you want to be a manager, if you want to be a leader of people, then, that's definitely something that you have to be very mindful of. People are watching you all the time. They want to see what you're doing. They want to see, they're watching you. They're seeing how you do things. And they're seeing if you're being consistent or if you're inconsistent. Is everybody being treated fairly, right? Are you who you say you are? And when you are who you say you are, like I said, it goes all the way back to, are you your core person? Whatever your personality is, that's who you are day in and day out. Are you a touchstone for people? That helps to build the loyalty in your team. Right? Yeah. When people know that you are who you say you are.
As we come to the end, the question I'd like to ask, and I know, is the book or podcast or content that's made you the best version of yourself? I know you mentioned maximizing your strengths earlier, but it doesn't have to be security related. It can be just any book that's really helped you that you think could help the listeners. Does anything spring to mind?
It's a tough call because not everybody comes from the same place. But I'll give this example, and I think this is the helpful one.
Okay.
Everybody has ever been to Waco, Texas. There's a Dr. Pepper museum. He was the CEO of Dr. Pepper, and he started off as a salesman.
Oh, wow.
And he always emphasized the golden rule, do unto others. And when you go into I don't know if they still have it in the exhibit, it's been a while, but they had his desk and they had this glass bowl and he would make these little marbles that had do unto others so that you could get that. And I think that is probably the most important piece of advice anybody could ever follow in your life, especially and also in your career, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. When you get into that position of leadership, what did you wish a manager had done for you? When you're in this job and whatever role you're in and you're interacting with people, how would you want somebody to treat you, regardless of how they treat you? Sometimes people can mistreat you, but you come back to them with the way you'd want to be treated. And I think that's how you will ultimately be able to move in your career in the best possible way.
Yeah, cool. Good one. Good note to finish on, I think, now. It was a nice way to me. And it's so true because it's like, I've actually seen it before where people have got into leadership positions and they haven't followed that advice, and it just never works out well for the team or that individual leader either, for that matter. Yeah, and plus it's nice to be nice.
And remember that being nice, and I think people often misunderstand this, but being nice doesn't mean being a pushover. It means that in every conversation that you're having, you try to treat people with respect and use that boundaries And that's how they'll understand how to treat you. You'll treat them well. And ultimately, you both can be happy in the long run.
Cool. Yeah, no, thanks, April. No, I've enjoyed this chat. It's like some of the episodes, and this has been one of them, and they're like mini therapy sessions for me as well. So thank you. I've enjoyed it. It's been nice.
Yeah, this has been great. I think we're signing the rig on my podcast. This has been a nice experience, painless. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, I've enjoyed it. But yeah, we'll say bye to the listeners now, and thanks again. It's been nice to chat.
Yeah, thanks so much.